Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Hey, Fusionist. How's it going? How's everyone doing on this fine Friday here? We're back. We're getting back into it. Started digging into the code a little bit last week. Not last week, yesterday. I'm like ready for it to be next week, I guess. You're good, and me? I'm good. Happy Friday to you as well, Fusionist. Hey, Ryson. What's up? All right, so I'm working on changing this grid, these outer boundary things, to be elastic. Basically shrink and grow with whatever we're building so that we can use it for things like rotations, and we can eventually use it as the basically as the marker that tells us what we're going to save, like how we're going to rebase it. Construction from the maximum sized build area to like a very particular actually used size. So we're going to keep working on that. Hey, Diginanigans. Good to see ya. Happy Friday. How's it been going? All right. There's too many tabs open. All right, so I ended up making this very lightweight little piece of data called the It's very lightweight struct. It's called tilemap data pack. And it now, instead of just throwing the byte array in here directly, we're throwing it into this little structure. The little structure has a target node. Right now, it just has the index into an array of nodes that the game repopulates, which is sufficient for now. But what we're probably going to move towards is doing like an entity ID kind of thing, but for nodes, like a node ID system. It'll be pretty easy because that means as like we can free them up as they're no longer relevant. But that way we can have reference to that way an entity can have a reference to the node that it corresponds to in the presentation. And that makes sense as something we're going to need when sending data between the simulation and the presentation. So we've got that. What we need to do is we need to start building out this grid to wrap around the used area. And that's a little, we'll see. We'll see how we're going to do that. Right now, I've just got update tilemap data entirely, and this has, we need to carve some stuff out of this. Like, we need to not necessarily do a cutaway, because right now we hard code the cutaway in here, and I realize that's actually not what we want to do. We want to potentially do a cutaway. I'm going to get rid of this commented code. Shenanigans. You're putting out a bit of a fire in that your primary web server at the place that you work is on life support. Ooh. Hard drive ended up hitting 100% capacity and caused many different services to crash and various corruptions. Ooh, that sounds bad. Like, there's a lot of benefits for on-site servers, right? But that sounds like one of the drawbacks. So what are we going to do? So we don't always want to do this. Pretty much everything else man. I think this grid thing is like a totally different workflow. I think we just have a different function for it. Call it something like, this is pretty hacky, but it's fine. This is something we're just going to run in edit mode. If we're not in edit mode, we won't run this. It'll be something like update construction grid. Target node. We actually don't need any of this stuff. We don't need a buffer or anything. We actually should probably just reconstruct this every time. Like, we don't need to read from a block. What we need is we just need an AABB. So the AABB would be game dot or AABB grid bounds. Shenanigans. Everything critical is back up and running in a read-only mode. You're basically spinning up a whole new server and replacing everything. That sounds rough. It's just a VPS, so you can spin up a new one, but it had a lot of custom stuff built into it that needs to be configured on new systems for everything to play nice. Yeah, losing all the configuration data sounds like that would be a horrible experience. So where are we storing this? So we've got our construction entity that we're storing. We also need to store, where am I going to store this? Probably in the input. Hello, open please. Oh, this. Change bounds. So we can use this change bounds thing. We can do a similar thing. We can set up like used bounds. You could say something like public AABB used bounds. For now, this is really terrible and hacky, but I just want to get something working. Something that we can share between the systems. And that's what I'm putting in these static objects. Stuff that can be shared. So the tool system would set the used bounds. Do we actually want you to store it here? Fusionist, did you see that LD is back on the menu? Yeah, I did. I did see that, Fusionist. I'm pretty excited. I was not sure if we were going to be doing that, but now I need to make some plans to do it. I was potentially going to be out of town that weekend, maybe, but it might be the next weekend. So if I'm here, it's like April 4th through 7th. If I'm here, we're so doing it. For sure. I really wanted to like put up the refined version of my last Ludum Dare game. I think was on 4.2. Have like a modified, like remastered version of it. Digitanigans, you can roll back to a backup from 2 days ago. You'd rather not do that for the data loss. So you're just recreating it. Yeah, we ended up doing this whole nice... I hope the music does not play. I ended up doing this whole remastered version of this game. Added spells. The only things... Oh, we're running in Vulkan. We're having that Vulkan rendering bug. Who cares? We did so much to make this. This was my Ludum Dare game from April of last year. We did so much to remaster this, and I just haven't put in the effort that would take to like put it back up on itch. I want to do tutorials and record some new music and stuff. I might skip most of it, but I really wanted to finish this and put it back on itch. We haven't really touched it since July. I've been meaning to go back to it. Kind of want to see one of the monsters that I built for this. You played this? Yeah, I did a following wind. The version you would have played on Ludum Dare was trash compared to this. We ended up putting in like the Jesco's water shader, and I redid a bunch of the art. I made this little sea monster, which I love. We added some spells. Did a bunch of stuff. I might try to make some time to finish this soon, because I'd like to be able to point to this during Ludum Dare. Like, here's the remastered version of my last game. I need to rebalance it, though. I don't think the balance is very good. But I fixed a lot of... Oh, come on. You're not going to eat this thing? You fell asleep before you could eat this ship? All right. Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, I think so. I really want to. I put a lot of effort. We worked on this for like 2 months after the jam. And then I just let it sit here. Never did anything with it. A lot of ships are crashing. I hope they're not mine. Yeah, it really needs quite a few things. I really love what we ended up with, though. Oh well, that's enough. That's enough of that. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna pare it way back. Do like the most rudimentary tutorial possible. I was gonna have like in-game tutorials. I think I'm just gonna have like a PDF or something that like flashes on the screen, or a series of images or something. I do want to record a little more music for it, and then I think I'm just gonna put it back up on itch as a remaster version. Because if we are gonna do Ludum Dare, I want to be able to be like, here's my last Ludum Dare game. Here's the good version of it. That was my, yeah, the first one was If it wasn't you, one of your teammates. Saw you play it live. I did that by myself. I want to be very clear. That was a solo game. Let me go to itch. Go to my dashboard. The game that ended up being I did the compo. I'm sure I watched you play it. That feels like a long time ago. Yeah, the original version of this game was like janky. The art is like terrible. Are you not gonna even load my art? Pulling it out of cold storage. Yeah, there's no texturing of any kind. This was like so simple. I mean, it felt good for 48 hours, but the new version has so much more stuff in it. And it's so much better. Like the wind indicator was such trash. I mean, it looked cool and it was fun, but like I did so much to this game. Still haven't put the remastered version up. I feel like there's more to do. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to put up the remastered version in basically 1 month from now. Basically 4 weeks, I need to put the remastered version up there, which is fine because I'm not really trying to do anything for GDC. I mean, I'm going to GDC, but I'm not like crunching to like do anything. Was it 2 LDs ago? Yeah, it was spring. It was spring of 24. I didn't get to do fall. Work got in the way. Yeah, thanks to Shenanigans. It was a little game about summoning the wind to like control ships and move them around, control sailing ships. It was a fairly loose interpretation of the theme, at least as far as how people felt about it at the time. But I'm pretty proud of it. It was my first game in Godot. And my first attempt to do little pixel art stuff. And we did it in 48 hours. That was good. That was good stuff. The theme sucked anyways. I know, all you could do is really some kind of demon summoning thing or people didn't understand what you were talking about. Although Voir dire was really good. The Daniel Mullins, like, jury packing game. That was fun. That was super cool. All right. So let's get back to work here. So what we're going to do is we're writing our own little... So what we need to do first is we need to build this AABB. We need to keep track of the actual in-use boundaries of the ship. And I think the easiest way to do that is to keep track of the change bounds that we're making. Something like that. I'm a little confused about how I'm going to do this. So there's this case. I see how to do it in like a shitty way. And I'm sure if I was better at math, there would be like a more obvious way to do it. But like, let's say I do this. So here's this square. And we're going to wrap it. We're basically going to wrap it in this dotted line thing. It'll like the boundaries will shrink and grow to fit this thing. And so if I add something to it, like if I add this, it makes sense that the boundaries grow to meet the whole thing. But if I erase like this, it doesn't. But if I erase like this, it would shrink. So there's like, I don't totally understand how to handle concave shapes, except to just make use of a feature that I have built already, which is to just get non-overlapping coordinates. So you basically just compare the one ABB to the other, and you, I guess, try to look to see what the maximum and minimum non-overlapping coordinates are, and that's your new boundary, in-use boundary. Probably, it's not an efficient way to do it, but it's the most fail-safe way I can think of how to do it. So that's probably where we'll start. So we're mainly going to be concerned about this. About placement. I'm not totally sold on what to do about the mouse hover. I'm more concerned about block placement, about placing blocks and updating this boundary. So what we'll probably do. So here's the bounds. These are the bounds of the current placement. So what we'll probably do is we'll go down to the end here. So what we're going to do is we're going to why am I doing this twice? New AABB vector 3 min, anchor coords, max anchor coords. It's the exact same thing I'm doing up here. I don't understand, so we're just going to say that. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say oh, nice, you got to do it twice. I know. Shenanigans. Keep track of the top leftmost tile and bottom rightmost tile at all times. When you place a new tile, if it exceeds one of those, update it. You delete a tile that is that top left or bottom right, then recalc to the next closest. Yeah, that's essentially what we're going to be doing. And your AABB is between those two tiles you're tracking. Yeah. So here's an interesting case for that use. So here we go. So let's start over here. So you're like, keep track of, so to us, top left is this one. It's like 0, 0. It's just top. And then bottom is the one that where is the max. This will be 0, 0, and this is whatever number is larger than 0, 0. So if we keep track of these, great. And so so changes I make to here won't matter. So if I cut this in, that's not affecting it. So, okay, that makes sense. If I cut this in, then we just figure out which one of the other ones is now the max, and we use that. Although no, see, this is the case I don't understand. So one of these is like the max. It's actually we're gonna make a new coordinate that is the maximum components of all the others. That's what we need to keep track of. So there's some coordinate here that's not a block, but it's sort of our maximum coordinate for this purpose. Even though we've carved out all of this, we still need to draw a grid that covers all of this. So that makes sense. So we can just do it by coordinate. Ibrati, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. How are you doing? Happy Friday. Yeah, so we're going to be tracking these tiles, whether or not they're actual tiles. Like, they're not part of the placement, but we need to capture these maximum and minimum that we construct from the actual tiles that exist. And that should give us our boundaries. Music is jamming. Okay, so I think it's reasonable then. If we do this erasure, let's assume that we erased it this time. What we're going to do is we'll get the non-overlapping coordinates between this larger box and then this smaller one. And so we'll iterate through all of these coordinates, and we're going to build a minimum and a maximum coordinate from these. And then those will be the markers for our overall boundary. So I think that's fine. As something we're going to be doing at edit time and not at runtime, I think it's fine that we're going to be iterating through a list of coordinates. This whole process is already off on its own thread. Takes a couple extra frames, who cares? So what we're going to want to do, so we have our bounds. This is the bounds this turn. We also want to use so we need to be keeping track of the prior bounds. Are we already doing this? Something like this? Okay, so we have to do it before here because we're about to replace prior bounds with bounds. So we probably want to do it near the top. Let's actually keep track of it here. And then we'll just pass it along for use elsewhere. So here, what we're going to say, so this is going to keep growing indefinitely here, or shrinking, or whatever. We're keeping track of this over time. So here we set a new set of bounds. So prior bounds is this new AABB of coords. And this is the initial coordinate you start at. For now is okay. This is going to need to change once the area you can build is like once we can select and move things. I guess we'll put the select and move in this other branch. So maybe it's okay. Maybe it'll just continue to be okay. All right, so we have our prior bounds. And then so here we've got bounds. And then so here the used bounds. Used bounds is just this process. So can we say for each coordinate. So for each point in bounds, well, we want to say prior bounds. Wait, actually, who calls this non-overlapping thing? So who is other? Other should be our coordinates this. Other should be what we're currently working on. Right? Should we not do this until we're done? Until we're done with the placement? Should we do the placement and then recalculate the boundaries? Probably not, because we'd want to be able to stop a placement that's going overboard, that's going like too far. So that's okay. So our reference point, our initial reference, we're going to keep track of this used bounds throughout the whole lifetime of the thing we're building. So we just need to make sure we account for all of the changes. So what we're going to do, so begin, we get prior bounds is this. We're going to say, so then here we're going to say for each point in, is it prior bounds dot get non-overlapping? I guess it's whichever one is bigger, because if we do get no overlapping and we're growing the boundaries, maybe it's easier than this. Let's make this simpler for now. Let's try to make this simpler. So we've got the bounds of the construction that we're currently doing. Oh, we're actually clamping it here. We actually want to be careful about that. We want to make sure that we're respecting that. So here we've got a clamp on this boundary. Keep it within the maximum buildable area. So if the bounds doesn't enclose the prior bounds, then we reveal some inactive blocks. I'm going to visualize this for a second here. So we've got this. Got this little simulation thing here. So we're starting to place blocks. So we place this block and we grow this out. We all of a sudden start going the other way. I guess during this, we can just be shadowing this structure. It's only when we do something like this and then this that we need to start comparing them. Once we start like extending it multiple times, now we need to worry about what the overall structure is. I don't want to pop this out next time. There we go. I want that. I like having this be embedded, but I kind of only need it sometimes. Right. Let's start with that. Let's start with the dumbest possible thing, which is just we're just mimicking the these boundaries. So when we say prior bounds is bounds, we're also gonna say used bounds is bounds. And we'll say game.input used bounds. We'll do it like this for now for reasons that will become apparent later. I just want to get the workflow going where we're actually drawing something. I don't actually care what the boundaries look like at the moment. Fill system will eventually use the used boundaries to optimize itself significantly. But for now, we can skip down to the tile system. So update construction grid is going to be not like this other thing. Update construction grid is like really rudimentary. Basically what we're doing for the construction grid thing, let me grab one of these. So this layer, we're basically going to need to, we're going to need to reposition it. That's going to be, this is interesting. This is really good. This is a really good test case of some features we need to develop. Like being able to reposition the tile map. So what we're going to do, basically, we have this system. So we have these dotted lines. And we're basically going to be drawing them on the outside of whatever the used rect is. So if the used rect is like this grid, then what we're going to actually be doing is drawing along. So if this is the used rect here, then we're actually going to be drawing along the outside of it like this. So we're going to be drawing just outside of it. Oh, we actually can't do it that way, can we? It has to be the inside. It has to be the inside because of the way that this structure is drawn. Or the way we're going to be sending data. We can only, for some reason, we can only encode tilemap data that's positive numbers on the grid. So we actually need to use the interior coordinates, which are these bad boys. And these. This is going to be a little tricky to draw, but that's okay. Where is it? There it is. So we want 0, 4, 1, 4, 0, 5, 1, 5, 0, 6, 1, 6, 0, 7, 1, 7. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna be kind of messy. It would have been better if we could draw these from the outside. Actually, I guess we can. Why not? Who cares? We can totally draw these from the outside. That makes it easier. And actually, it'll play nicer with the Z indexing if we can. I mean, drawing them from the outside as distinct from like. So we could draw this. We could draw this on the inside. So like, ooh, this is not the kind of music I want to listen to. What happened to instrumental only? I still have it checked off. So yeah, we're gonna start with this. So what we're gonna do, so we're getting our boundary, grid bounds. For the actual used bounds. And then what we're going to do so we're going to say for each variable coordinate towards in new AABB, so the minimum is going to be grid bounds dot minimum minus vector 3 I dot 1. Okay. Dot get non-overlapping. This is really stupid. We're basically making a new AABB that's slightly bigger. That's one set bigger than the actual boundaries. And then we're going to iterate through them. Maybe we should save this. AABB margin. Maybe we'll call it like grid margin. We'll declare this here so we can use it. Something like this. ABB variable grid margin is a new, really wants to not go over the line here. All right, and for each I see what's happening. I'm being full. So we do this. and we say in grid margin dot get non-overlapping grid bounds. So these are all of the coordinates in our margin. We want to ignore the corners. How are we going to dismiss the corners? I guess I could make them, I could take the minimum and the maximum and make their 90-degree equivalents. And we could just ignore those. So what we're going to need to do here is now we need to, well, we need to create a dictionary for one thing. Variable grid lines tiles new dictionary. Actually, does it need to be a dictionary? What do we send in here? Send in the counts. We go through each tile and the tile values. We need to get their position, their source ID, their atlas coords, their alt tiles. So I guess we just make these now. So we could just make an array of tiles. Yeah, it's probably better to be a dictionary. Or a list. I guess it can just be a list. I'm gonna say we can just do it like this. Margin X. We want to keep track of these margins separately. It doesn't really matter. What we need to do oh man, we got to deal with the Z axis as well. Let's ignore that for now and just do the X and the Y. Actually, I guess we need to know, don't we? It's actually not vector3i.1. We actually need to be a little more specific. So variable grid min x y. I don't know. Grid minimum is going to be grid bounds dot minimum minus new vector 3i 1 1 0. Same deal here. We actually don't want vector 3i.1. We don't want to change the z. I'm just gonna keep track of these because I might need them. Do I really just need the corners? It seems like I just need the corners. So what if we just make a list of the corners? So the corners would be this. So it would be the minimum and the maximum. Actually, I guess we want to define these points first. And then we need to just mix together some of their chords. So we say grid min. And what we also say is grid min dot, we say new vector 3i grid min dot x. So we need the other two corners besides the minimum and the maximum. So if this corner is, this is 63, 63, 63, 0. So it's max x and y min, then x min, y max. Oh, corners. It's 3 dimensions of corners, but actually we don't really care about that. We actually could just do this with vector 2. Grid min dot xy. And we'd say grid max dot xy. All right. So those are the 4 corners in 2 dimensions. All right, so I would want to do, so if this was JavaScript, I would just do corners dot, I would just do if not corners dot sum towards, just to make sure that none of these correspond here. What's the C# version of that? Corners dot. There's a contains, which is link powered. There's a lot of link powered options here. That's the easiest way I could think of doing it, is just use the link expression and not care too much. Probably a better way to do that, though. Basically, if the corners contains... For any of the corners, we just want to skip them. Okay, so now that we've skipped the corners, what we need to do is we need to pick... We need to do a slightly different process depending on... So we can say tile equals new tile towards... For my tile options here. Position, level. Can I take a vector 3? Oh, layer. Why do we have the layers in here? Door, deco. Need grid. Or do I? Why is that required? Why did I do that to myself? It's because we iterate tile by tile. Tile needs to know what layer it's part of. So what we need to do is we need to say towards... a new vector 4i towards, and you say tiles dot, when you say tile dot layers dot, you need to add one, you need to add a grid. Does this numbering system matter? It probably does, doesn't it? Maybe we can ignore this, actually. Can we just say tiles dot, or tile dot layers? I just need to cast this. 0. Does that not work? Oh, you know, my name is not valid at that point. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to put 0. Actually, should be able to just plug in the vector 3. It should automatically fill in the 0. So we're just going to ignore the tile layer here. That doesn't matter for this. How are we going to tell... How are we going to tell the system unpacking it that doesn't matter for this? This is good. This is good practice that we're doing this, that we're trying to construct and send over differently structured tilemap data. Trying to make our system more compatible. Use class system.collections.generic list. What am I using instead? What? System.collections.generic. I'm using system.collections.generic. What are you getting on at me about? Okay, it both says this is unnecessary and also required. There must be some other error in here somewhere. Okay, you're gonna work now? That was so weird. It was like refusing to recognize this list. Okay, so we got our new tile with these coords. Now we just need to go through and set the tile. Can actually do a lot of that here. We can say source ID equals. Actually, what is source ID equal? Probably 0, right? Yeah. Wonder how we're going to do this in the long run. So there's your source ID. So here's where we need to check. Here's where we need to figure out the atlas coords. And this is where we see like what side we're on. So we need to evaluate what side of the grid we're on of this like dotted line grid. What side are we on? So I guess it's like which. Oh, I think I see a way that I can get rid of the link thing we were using. We can actually just see we want to see which maximum or minimum coordinate our coordinate along these lines correspond to. And if we're at a corner, we're going to correspond to 2 of them. And if we correspond to 2 of them, we can just continue. Okay, so that's an alternative. We need to do it earlier, though. We need to say, so we need to scrutinize these coordinates. Now it's back to being like, you can't use this list. Ambiguous reference. Candidates are system.collections.generic list tile or system. Oh, it's tile. I think there's multiple uses of tile. Is it? Oh, wait, there's tile in namespace DI, and there's tile in di.door. Oh, weird. Oopsies. Oh, we got ads coming. Don't worry, we're kind of just cooking. We're kind of slow rolling. This is more the vibe I had in mind for yesterday. A nice, slow, quiet stream back. First day back after a week or whatever. And then Sorcery raided us. And there were like 50 people in here. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this right now. But it was fun. There were some cool people there yesterday. Enjoyed it. I just wanted something a little quieter. Because I'm still really tired and like I think it's gonna be hard to do our full 3-hour stream things right now. So we're just gonna do what we can. Probably stream for a couple hours a day. Work our way back up to like our regular schedule. Get yourself in good health, everyone. Because if you're not in good health and you try to do something like this where you like work 12 hours a day or whatever, it like your body falls apart. Gotta work in the morning and the afternoon and the evening. You gotta take care of your body or you aren't gonna be able to do anything. So what we're doing here is we're trying to see you can do a switch, I guess. Or we could just do a bunch of if statements and not worry about it. If boards.x equal to gridmin.x. I usually like just starting with a bunch of silly like if statements and then optimizing it. I have a hard time thinking about this stuff ahead of time. Shenanigans sounds good, Dave. Take it easy. You think you're gonna hop off now anyways? Yeah, no, for sure. We got another hour we're going today, but I appreciate that, Shenanigans. Hope you have a great start of your weekend. It sounded like you had a crazy time at work. So, time to unwind. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be streaming tomorrow. But it's good to see you today. Thanks for hanging out, and take care. All right, stuff chords. So we can say LF. Actually, it's gonna be one or the other, isn't it? We actually don't need to check. We can just say else. So if it's not the min, it's the max. Actually, I guess it's not guaranteed, is it? It would be... Actually, either of these is bad for us, so we want to say or. So if chords.x is equal to grid min, and then if chords.y is either the grid min or the grid max, then we continue, because we don't want to handle this case. Otherwise, we can just use it like this, right? And we'd say else if chords.x is equal to grid max. Actually, it's guaranteed to be one or the other, right? No, it's not. One of its coordinates is guaranteed to be one of either the maximum or minimum, but it's not a guarantee that which one that'll be. Oh, we got someone to ban here. Load the photon torpedoes. All right, target and fire. Blasted him to spam bot. That always feels good. So if it's this, then we want to do this. Could move the continue to be like here. Make it a little less spaghetti looking here. So if either of these, so we do still want to, your X is this or your Y is this. So here we can both do some control flow stuff and we can set some atlas chord stuff. So we can say variable atlas chords equals vector 2i dot 0. What we're going to do here. So now we need to look back at our tile set. So if our tile set is here. So if we're along the min Y, we use this. If we're along the maximum Y, we use this. So min x is 0, 4. Max x is 1, 5. Unfortunate that these are just hard coded for now, but I feel like we might change our process for this sooner than later. Atlas chords is going to be 1, 5. And then if we're y minimum, we're going to use... Oh, it's actually the opposite. Oops. Y minimum is 0, 5. Y maximum is 1, 4. Because we're boxing these in from the outside. It's going to be 1, 4. And then these are going to flip, right? The 1, 5 for the minimum x. Yeah. That's a really shitty way to do this, but it will work. So, enough for now. Source ID, Atlas coords. Not what this is called. Oh. Alternative tile equals 0. Actually, we can just add this directly. We can say grid tiles dot add so instead of this if corners dot contain thing, we're doing this instead. Okay. Get rid of that reference to link. So this is pretty simple, and this will get us our tile data. And then, how does this work? So counts, tile and tile.values. Oh, this is hard coded too. What the, okay. Having this split into its own file or into its own code made sense at one point. In fact, I need to actually move this up to the other side. Move this here. And so I guess we're going to do our own thing here. I guess it's possible that we'll have nothing to... We should do a check. We should say something like if, yeah, grid tiles.count is greater than 0. Then we can do this. So how are we going to send this data over? We need to do this thing. We need to convert... Basically need to convert the tiles down. start equals indices tile.level times layers plus int tile.layer. Indices tile.level times layers plus int tile layer 6. What is this even doing? Right here. Converting it down. Oh, it's packing the data in from the start plus the I see. Okay. Plus int tile.layer. So this is a multi-dimensional thing that we've compressed down. It's level times layers plus layer. Okay. So we can do this more simply than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for each tile in grid tiles. For each tile in grid tiles. Grid tiles does not need to be a list. I could pre-calculate it. But for right now, we're just going to accept that it's a list. I guess we can invert this. Oh. Excuse me. All right, so for each tile and tile grid sizes, we can do this thing. First we need to build the header. We do that like this. Yeah, this is all hard-coded, and this needs to become more dynamic. Because ships are going to have different numbers of, different counts of levels at least. Not different counts of layers. Tara Mazeppa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Taras? Welcome in. How's it going? How are you doing today? Happy Friday. All right, so yeah, so we're gonna build the header. Pack data is a new U short. Is it gonna be grid tiles.count? Is that right? Count. Oh, I need to actually do the count. Actually, the count should be well, no, the count might not be regular. Oh. Are we gonna actually have the grid be different? No. For vertical levels, we're not gonna have it trim the grid. That would be insane. That'd be really hard to keep track of. I guess it could from like a tile map standpoint. From a buffer standpoint, it's not gonna do it. Karas, you're looking for people to talk to about their usage of Git branches. Okay, sure. I don't do a ton of Git branching because I'm like a solo dev. So if I do a branch, it's like a jam game, and I like branch off because I'm like, I want to keep the jam version on one branch, and I want to have like, maybe I want to do a remake on another branch or something like that. Like, but yeah, shoot. I'm not the most experienced at Git branching, but it's kind of more of a team thing, but yeah, I'll probably do a little bit more branching for like once I'm a little further on and I do versioning, or like have a beta branch versus a production branch, or definitely good uses for it. All right, so the pack data is grid tiles.count plus its levels, right? So it's going to be 1 plus levels plus grid tiles.count. Index in it. What is this whole thing? So determine the starting index within the pack data for each layer. Okay. I guess I actually need to do that. Add the layer count and the layer size as a header to the pack data. So counts I. For I is less than level times like. Oh, I wasn't keeping track of this. Where am I doing this? Counts. Counts. Key.z times layers plus key.w plus plus. Ah. Okay, so I need something like that. So all that we'll say variable, or we'll say int level counts equals. Actually, it's an array, isn't it? New int levels times layers. Okay. One video time. No, man, I'm live. If you wanna, we've got a Discord. If you wanna ask your questions in the Discord, help you out there. But if you wanna just drop them in the chat, I'm happy to talk about them. But no, we can't do a one-on-one video chat, unfortunately. Right, variable count, var counts is new int, oh, brackets, not parentheses. Go. So these are the level counts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, we'll add it there and we'll say level counts coords.z plus plus. Okay, now we can do the same thing we do here with this. Conflicting variable pack data is defined below. Oh, we define it lit down there. Okay. Let's comment this out for a second here. That sounds nice, Terrace, but I don't feel like I'm enough of a practitioner of the thing you want to talk about, which is like Git branches. I don't think I'd have that much wisdom to provide you, because I really have only used it for like game jams or like significant feature branching. Bryson, do I have any pets? No, I would love a dog. Would very much love a dog. No, I don't currently. I think that's the only thing keeping me from blowing up on Twitch is just having a dog cam. Your cat is licking your toaster. Yeah, I mean, they don't know about electricity. It's not like their fault, but. So headers is 1 plus levels, so we don't actually need layers. So index equals headers plus 1. Is that true? I guess that's true. Indices is a new int, so there's only 1 layer here, so we don't need to worry about that. So I'm just removing any reference to layers. Index plus equal level counts I times 6 plus 1. What's this times 6? Is that because of the 6 fields here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That must be it because there's 7 layers. There's only 6 fields. Yeah, no worries. Sorry I couldn't be more help, Taurus. Bryson, you feed your cat wet and dry food. They're a little pig. These little salmon-filled treats that they love. He still insists on licking the toaster. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like you're giving them plenty of minerals. They're probably just being bizarre. Cats will get that look in their eye like they just don't understand anything. That just all they know is oblivion. A pretty funny look to. Add the layer count and layer sizes as a header to the pack data. Bytes per tile 12. That's correct. That's a constant. Bytes per layer 2. That's also correct. Level counts I times 6 plus 1. Okay, this 1 is for the layer. This 6 is for the fields. Bytes per tile 12. Bytes per layer 2. This is still correct. Pack data is a new use short of count. Okay. I should set up an output pack tilemap data function that's like a little more generic than this, so we're not just duplicating this code, but for now, this is the way. Crack is good. This feels like almost like, oh, it's Chipsol. Chipsol is good. Wait, hold on. For each tile and tile, oh. Wait, what did I just do? We don't need to do that here. Oh, we're doing it in here. The indenting. Gotta remove reference to layers. I just need to like, just always saying levels times layers, levels times layers. Yeah. I need to rewrite that in a way that's more flexible. We actually don't want this W. And since W is 0, we can just remove it from all of these. Layers is 1, so we don't need to multiply that. We could just say 1 plus z. So here, tile starts tile.level times layers. Nope. Just this. Actually, is that right? Yeah, no, that's right. Horizon, you're thinking about making a Scrabble clone for your parents? Tired of troubleshooting their Facebook Words with Friends app? And a while back, your mom's iPad Words with Friends app was taking up like 8 gigs of her storage. That is weird. Yeah, that is very sus. All right, so this is a little concerning. This tile.level times layers plus tile.layer. So this is always going to be 0, and this is 1. So we're going to just eliminate all of this. I think we can do it safely. Not tiles.values. So you are gonna read from grid tiles. That could have been bad. Why are you complaining? Value? Oh, this value that's been assigned. Yeah, it's not used. There you go. All right. So this is a really scuffed way of sending the tile data over. This probably will work. So what we need to do is we need to go back to the game script and actually be able to handle this case. So nodes tiles.target node call unpack tilemap data tiles.pack data. Okay, so this will send it back to the correct. Well, hold on. I don't need to see all of this. Go. So now we're going to say update instruction grid 1 game dot input used bound. I want to put that somewhere else, but that's okay for it to live there for now. And you're updating the used bounds thing, right? Yes. Okay. I think this should be fine. Maybe I need to say the used bounds equals prior bounds. Maybe I don't, though. I'm gonna presume that I don't. And what we need to do We need to give you a script that can actually process this. But here's your problem. Oh, you don't distinguish between levels and layers, huh? Okay. Okay, this might actually work. I'm just gonna add this function over here and modify it as needed. So do you keep track of your levels? We have hull layers. Hull layers. Where are we defining you? Oh, you're an array. We'll do something similar here. We can say variable grid layers equals new array. Is that what I said? New array tilemap layer. Ah. Oh, we don't need the new. I'm just having a hard time going back and forth from a semantic standpoint between these languages sometimes. We just do this. For child in get children. So for each, yeah, okay. Okie doke. I could actually do this with the same script. So I probably will at a certain point. But let's see what happens. Go to the debugger because I have very little faith that this is going to work on the first try. Oh, I did not totally change this code. This has a reference to layers. Back data 1 plus z equals convert to... Okay, that should be fine. Value was either too large or too small for a uint16. We actually, when we rebuild this thing, we actually need to rebase it. I forgot that. That's an interesting challenge. How are we going to send that information over to the construction grid? I guess we can't. So what we need to do... I guess we need to do that. Well, what we could do... The grid bounds.minimum. The minimum was 0. We're now making it negative. It needs to be 0 again, but like... I guess we can just add vector 3 I 1 1 1. We could do this. This is a really stupid way to do this, but it will work. But we're going to need to introduce like an offset for that to work correctly. I didn't get any errors. Oh, well, it's a problem that static levels is doing this. I guess actually it's not a problem because it's never going to be called. Okay. It kind of works. It only follows along with whatever you're currently constructing, so it's not keeping track of what you're doing. But it's a start. The Z indexing is wrong. Need to figure that out. How does it work the other way? So like if I build up against the edge here, what do I see? Oh, I see that. Oh, I need to move this grid thing back a little bit. I need to reposition this. This whole thing needs to move by 1. Or maybe this whole thing needs to move 1. Maybe I need to move this up a little bit. How big is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what you should be is... Hold on. We're gonna need to do this. We should probably try to just do this here at the top level. So we could just say -8 for now. Is that right? Well, let's not do it here because this is the scene. This here, let's do it here. Let's say -8. Let's see what that looks like. And now when I throw this down, there we go. That's right. I mean, it looks terrible because of what it's doing, but it's correct. But right now it's only keeping track of our current build, not the overall build. So that's the next step. And once it's keeping track of that, then we can use this for things like rotations. We can rotate locally without having to use the whole canvas. And we can send the filler, blood fill. How does this work with multiple layers would be my question. Oh, it won't because we're not keeping track overall of what's happening. Okay. So I guess the next thing to do, the drawing is pretty much correct. What we need to do now is we need to more accurately keep track of what this AABB is. And then I think I'll be pretty happy with that for today. But let's do that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So what we want to do is we want to keep track of the overall bounds. So that is going to involve finding the minimum and the maximum coordinates. No, the minimum and the maximum components between all... Okay, I think I see how to do this. So we're going to say we'll do this here. So rather than just this straight up thing we're doing here, we're going to say for each variable, for each point in used bounds dot get non-overlapping bounds. This is gonna break in a number of ways, but we're starting to figure out how we're gonna do this. So point in non-overlapping. We're gonna declare some variables here. We're gonna say variable min equals min equals int dot infinity, int dot max value, or vector 2i dot max value. Max is vector 2i dot min value. So here we're going to say min equals vector 2i dot so I guess it's a 3i. Vector 3i min point so we're going to try to find the component-wise minimum and maximum for the overall AABB. And then used bounds is going to be a new AABB using min and max. This is very wrong and is going to fail in a number of ways, but I just want to see. What's going on here. That failed in some way. Are we just not drawing it? No, we are drawing it. We're just gonna print. Just gonna debug.writeLine used bounds. Didn't need to say toString. Why did I do that? What we want to do is we want to embed this. Okay, it's only ever 0, so that's an interesting problem. Did I get this in the wrong order? The minimum is going to start as the max value. Is used bounds... Oh, used bounds needs to start as something. I see. I think we actually need to do it the other way then. The use bound starts empty, so it's never going to... So get non-overlapping will never give us anything because it needs to actually have a volume first. So how do we make this in such a way that it's always growing? I need to do it the other way? Should it be bounds.get non-overlapping? Use bounds. Let's try it. I don't think that's going to work, but try it. Oh, it's kind of working. Maybe the problem is I'm trying to do this during the build. What if I only do it at the end? I'm going about this the wrong way. So we start with nothing. And then we build out this thing. Build out this grid. And then that's the grid. And then now that we have that, if I start building over here, we want to add to it. We should be seeing a dotted line across both of these, but we're not. And it's because I can't start with an empty AABB. Maybe instead of starting with an empty one, I start with the maximum buildable area, and then I get overlapping with this. That could be it. That will at least do something. What if here when I start? What if used bounds starts out by being game.board? And then here we say used bounds dot get overlapping bounds. What does that look like? Also, min should not be this. This is not the correct way to do this. Maybe it is. Okay, that's definitely causing some kind of weird slowdown for some reason. Okay, that didn't do what I expected it to do. For each point in used bounds dot get overlapping with bounds. Okay. Min is vector3 min point. Min starts with the max value, so it's gotta be anything would be smaller. That didn't work, but that's because used bounds needs to listen to... Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way. Maybe I should be going through the buffer, looking at the block buffer. No, I would rather do it here, using just the AABBs. Problem is, if the used boundary isn't set up yet, like if it's blank, it needs to be set to the bounds thing. But once it's got some values, it needs to hold on to that in some way. So maybe get non-overlapping is the wrong approach. Maybe I need something else. Maybe we need to iterate over both. Actually, we don't really need to iterate, do we? We actually just need to check the minimum and the maximum of both. This is basically what Diginanigans told us to do hours ago. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I kind of just let it leave my mind. So we're not actually going to iterate through anything. We're going to say... We're going to do something here. We're going to say... We need a different process. Oh god, we added something here. Should be fine, I guess. Got minimum, got maximum. All right, maybe this works, in which case this is way simpler than I thought it would be. Okay, almost. What happens when I start adding? Okay, so this is kind of working. It's anchored to 0, which is wrong. But it's kind of working. I need to handle erasure better. So why is it anchored to 0? So why is the minimum locked to 0 here? Oh, is it because used bounds is declared stupidly? Do I need to declare it correctly? So use bounds equals a new AABB. Minimum is going to be vector 3i dot max value. Minimum value. This actually might break. My code might not actually allow me to do this. I think I included a thing to prevent you from being able to have inside-out AABBs. Like, I think there's a constructor check. Yep, there is a constructor check. Maybe I should make that a warning instead of an exception. There's a very particular case. So could it be throw a new warning? Minimum should be less than or equal to maximum. But we're going to make it a warning. Is that actually just going to hard stop? Do I maybe not understand how how warnings work in C#? Okay, yeah, so that's not the same thing. So instead of throwing something, we could just say debug.writeLine. Will this work now, though, is the question. Okay. All right. We're in business. We're expanding this as we build out. Oh, it does not retract ever. Oh, no, this is correct because this to here is that. This to here is there. No, so this line is wrong. So it doesn't have a system to, like, retract back. Okay. It needs to do that. Any more effort put toward figuring out how to hide the .uid files in the IDE? No, and I kind of decided I didn't want to because I might actually want to reference one of them. I mean, I could hide it in here, and I could hide it in this IDE and then look at it in Godot if I ever needed it. But no, I couldn't figure out how to do that in Writer. Couldn't figure out how to hide a specific file type. It does kind of clog the works up a little bit. All right. So how am I going to make it so that this pulls itself back? So we can't just use the used bounds because the used bounds won't allow us to retract. We need to do something else. Settings, editor, file types, select ignored files and folders tab. I see. .uid. Oh, I guess it's .cs.uid. Cool. Thanks for looking into that. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. I'm probably just doing it wrong. Star.uid probably. I mean, that's not what the other entries we're using. Oh no, I guess maybe it is. It says just .git star. Oh, let's try star, I guess. I totally know where star is on the keyboard. I don't know. Star.cs.uid. Doesn't seem to be doing anything, which is okay. I haven't decided that I actually want to make them go away yet. Kind of glad it's not doing anything. Maybe it needs to be like reloaded or something. These are already not being indexed. So there's already something going on with them. Probably need to update writer. I'm not sure about these files. Wildcard. You are forgetting the wildcard. The .git convention is from Unix systems and used for hidden files. Maybe reopen the project. The wildcard was that asterisk, so we've tried that. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't want to get rid of them yet, because I feel like if I reference them, I don't know. I'm actually not sold. I probably don't want to use them in JetBrains writer when I'm doing C#, but I probably do want to use them when I'm in Godot. So they're not even, they don't even show up in Godot. So like it looks like they're hidden by default in Godot. So if I wanted to reference one, how would I even go about doing that? I should probably look into that. But yeah, I guess if they're hidden in GDScript or in Godot by default, I definitely want to hide them in the IDE. I'll try that. I'll try that after the stream or something. I'll try closing it and reopening it and see if it works or whatever. I'm out of time and I want to figure this out, but I'm not sure I'm going to. The issue here is if we expand the boundaries, then that's registered in the use bounds and that will never, we can never reduce that. Which is why I had this idea of using the non-overlapping. So we would look at the differences and maybe I just need a different, maybe I just need some more intelligence about how we're approaching this. Like some more, maybe I need to evaluate the state a little bit more. Maybe I need to check whether bounds.minimum is like less than use. I don't know. Kind of weird. The easiest thing to do would be to actually just go through and check all of the data in the buffer and see where the actual minimum and maximum points of the use boundaries are. I wanted to just do it using the inputs rather than having to like iteratively go through and check this thing. I wanted to just be able to do it with just the user inputs. That would be way less burdensome. But it's also clearly very error prone. I don't know. Maybe I should only do it when the build ends. Probably the easiest way to deal with at least one of those problems is to just move this here. Oh, but we don't actually have bounds. Oh, we could use prior bounds. Have they been committed to Git? That could be what the no index means. They have been committed to Git. You should commit your UID files to Git. If you do not do that, you will have a bad time. And yeah, they've been committed to Git, but I don't know why they say no index, you know. I don't understand. I don't know what that means really, to be honest. What an index means in the context of this IDE. So a lot of stuff doesn't have indexes, and I guess it's fine. Like icon SVG doesn't have an index. Camera.gd does, but camera.gd.uid does not. So I don't know what is or isn't indexed. Yeah. Okay, so we moved the boundary thing to the end, and that should at least solve one of our problems. Not like a lot of them, but one of them should be solved this way. So if we do it at the end, then bam, now it's there. And now if I do this again, I can go in and out and in and out and in and out, and then go. Once it's done, bam. The problem is if I erase a bunch of stuff, yeah, it doesn't understand the difference between an erase and a place, but that's fine. We can address that. I want this to be in real time, so I want you to be able to see this thing growing out. I don't want it to just happen at the end. And it doesn't understand difference. So lots of problems with this. We should be able to get through it tomorrow though. Probably has something to do with IntelliSense for searchable. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. But that's okay. I don't need to understand. Yeah, I gotta get some food and get back to the day job. So I think we're gonna end it here. I think we're gonna make one last attempt tomorrow to really figure out this boundary thing. This keeping track of the actual used boundaries of the constructions. I think we can figure this out tomorrow. I hope we can. Yeah, we're pretty much all programming all the time again now. Probably not going to be able to get back to art for a while until I want to just finish this tilemap editor. I want it to be done. And then I can move on to other things. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done with that. We've talked about it extensively. It's like undo, redo, save, load, select, move. This is really a precursor to select, move, in my opinion, the stuff we're doing right now. But we'll see. Those things are all more important, and we need to get to them. Thanks, Ryson. I hope you take it easy as well. Happy Friday again, everybody. Hope you all have a great weekend. We'll be back tomorrow for a stream. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.